Alright, I watched it. Okay, I never really thought that I was going to watch the Justice League. I didn't watch the theatrical release because I hated Batman vs. Superman that much, and people said it was a bad movie. I didn't think I would watch this one either, but the reviews came out and people said it was really good. So I'm going to talk about why I don't really agree, and there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, so get ready for that. But disclaimer, I didn't watch that first one, and if you want a unbiased opinion about this film, I think that I can provide that for you. At least I certainly hope I can, because that is my goal. Alright, I'm going to talk about the good of this movie right out the gate. Okay, I want to talk about what is good, and then I'll talk about what is bad. I also want to tell you I would watch this movie again. I'm going to leave my number up at the end of the video as I always do, but it's not really relevant. Okay, let's get the good out of the way. Okay, the fight scenes in this movie are really good. I like them a lot. I also think that they do a good job of establishing characters. I was really impressed with the cyborg scenes, and I was really impressed with the breakout of every character of themselves. Like, they all had their individual moments. They had the time on the screen that I think was necessary for each of them, and it's a hard thing to do for a film with this many characters, and I think that it was done well. Now, mind you, it is 4 hours long, but that's okay. I think Steppenwolf is an awesome villain, and they did really good things with him. I really enjoyed every time he was on the screen, with some minor exceptions here or there, and I think that for villains, as villains go, he's very believable, and you know that he's not playing around. He is going to destroy everything that stands in his path. That's not usual, so like that. And the real last thing that I like is the Amazonas Island, and basically just the whole, like, Diana culture to begin with. There's really good shots, there's excellent fight scenes, there's a lot of really cool moments that happen. I don't want to, like, spoil that in particular, because it's the first rough half of the first 2 hours of the film, and I think that if that was the entire movie, I would have loved it infinitely more than I do the rest of the film. So yeah, really good job on that. Now I think it's important for me to tell you what I know about the 2017 theatrical version of this movie. I don't know much, because I never watched it, probably never going to. I know that they put in a lot of comedy, and people were really against that. There's some teeth scene with Superman that I saw when the movie was first released. Do You Bleed, or whatever, the reference to the Batman vs. Superman movie, which I also hate. There's also some unnecessary humor that's thrown into scenes that don't make any sense, and I get that. I understand that that is probably the biggest flaw of the film, and that there are some things that are cut and added in this version that weren't in the original. Overall, the plot's pretty similar, to my understanding, that, you know, go fight Steppenwolf and win the day. Now that you know how far my knowledge goes on this, I'm gonna do some dirty work here. The very first issue that I have with this movie is the lighting. Okay, my word. Zack Snyder saw the dark lens, put it on a camera, and fell in love. I think he would marry that lens if that was an option for him. It's like a kid who found the sepia filter on a phone and started taking photos with that. You fall in love with it, right? I get it, okay? We've all been there. We want to make everything look old-timey. I get it, okay. But holy cow, does it take away from this film. I was so tired of this dark, broody stuff. Like, let me see the world around these characters. It's so unnecessary. It actually did wear on me about the first 30 minutes, and then the film is 4 hours long and it doesn't stop. It also has to do with a lot of the CG that's used. It creates a dilemma there, and it also has some bad CG too on top of that, so that CG was rough for me. And then there was also some really weird lighting scenes. I'm not gonna take away that some of these characters are fully CG anyway, and that's pretty awesome, but there's some weird shots where our heroes who are wearing bright colors on this dark filter across the CG background or green screen, whatever you want to call it, they look terrible. And it's not good enough to put into a film that cost this much. And I understand Snyder was working with what he had, but if I look back at any of the other films, they all do this. I mean, starting with Watchmen, Snyder has been using that filter for a really long time, and I just want it gone. As I am going in order of things that happen in this film for the bad, Lois Lane, my word, get her off the screen. Every time I saw her talking about her sadness over the death of Superman, I couldn't. We've been talking about how Superman died for too long, and this movie probably spends a good hour talking about it. Not with just Lois Lane scenes, but with Bruce Wayne and everybody else, all talking about, oh man, we need Superman. We all know he's coming back. It doesn't matter. You could have given me one scene, maybe 2 scenes at best. There's at least 3 or 4, and they're all way too long and really unnecessary, and they flash in the middle of important moments. I don't like it. Get that out of here, please. It added to the length of the film, and the film is already too long, and we'll get there. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the bullshit God Machine has a time limit variant that comes through these films. It happened in Suicide Squad, it happened in this movie, and it's so dumb. Okay. God or other powerful being has a force to destroy the entire world, but it has to charge up. This is my problem, right? If you have this machine that can destroy the Earth, just destroy the Earth. Or maybe you have to assemble all the pieces, which they do in this movie, and that's okay. But we jump back and forth between that a lot, and then it has a charge time of like 12 hours, who even knows? Just let the thing do the thing. I really hate it. It drives me up a wall, and I think it's bad writing. If you want some real fun, watch this movie with subtitles on. It's not that the subtitles are bad. There is something that happens every time Princess Diana steps on the screen, and that is the ancient lamentation music. Her character, every time she walks on screen, gets that Amazonas battle music. And I like the track, I do. And it was great in the first few moments of the film when she was fighting, and a couple others later down. But it happens every single time she's on screen. Not when she's doing her normal job thing, I guess. But who cares? Every scene with her doing anything action oriented at all, the music starts. And they do this a little bit for the other characters. They give them their theme songs at important moments. But for whatever reason, Gal Gadot, when she steps on screen, it's just Ancient Lamentations music, here we go. And it's bad. It interrupts other songs, and I don't know. It wore on me. Maybe it'll wear on you. I don't know. In fact, musically, this movie actually had quite a few problems. There's just bad tracks that they added to the film, but that's okay. Okay, let's talk about the future. This is the last hour of the movie. There's another thing that happens before this, and I'll talk about it a little bit, but the epilogue. There's chapter labeling in this movie, which I didn't like, but I can get over because we're telling a story and it reads like a book, I guess. But the epilogue. There's a cool scene that happens in it with Lex Luthor, and you should watch it for that if you like cool DC characters. My favorite DC character of all time shows up in this. I like it. The problem is that we go back to the future, like we did in Batman vs. Superman, and there's a scene with Jared Leto. Oh man, he does nothing in this movie just like he did in Suicide Squad. In fact, I would say that he was more worthless in this movie than he was in Suicide Squad, and that's saying something. Let's just end the Joker thing. Okay, so I said that there was something that happened a little bit before the epilogue. There is an hour of just nothing. The Justice League is somewhat formed. We're dealing with some weird side story conclusion stuff, but there's nothing important that happens for an hour. And I really could have looked away from the movie at this point in time. and then we get into the fight scene, and then we get into the epilogue. So it's an hour of nothing, 30 minutes of great fight scene, 30 minutes of boring epilogue, and whatever. I don't think the movie needed to be 4 hours, and in fact, I don't think these movies needed to be that long to begin with, ever. Even 3 hours might be a little long, whatever. They could have made Batman vs. Superman 3, maybe 2 films if you wanted to really condense it. This movie should have been 2 films as well. And I think that really goes to show that the DCU rushed something that shouldn't have been rushed. They should have given it the time, let it rest, and allowed us to eat our steak in peace. And this film is definitely a testament to why that rushing really hurt the fans. Well, the theatrical release really hurt the fans, and this one seems to have stepped up and been better. Again, I didn't watch the first, I'm not going to. I'm simply here to say that this is not as good of a movie as a lot of people want it to be. I wish that it was, I really do. This still hasn't gotten me hyped for what's to come in DC, so that's where I leave you. Watch it for yourself. I would watch this movie again, as I said, and that says something. I think that the fight scenes were completely worth it, and that overall every character was good. So, good job. And Snyder, thank you for doing better.